Let's talk about Bill C2. I know people on here have been talking about it. Some like it, some don't like it. Some say people are overreacting. Some say it's a violation of human rights. It's a little of all. The thing with C2 is that it's not all bad. My worry is that the not all bad is going to hide some of the stuff that is worrisome. Now, obviously, as times have changed, the world is in a different place. Things need to be reviewed, amended, updated. Now, when you scroll through the Strong Borders Act, it's going to give you a little bit of background. It's going to talk about the need to secure our borders, stopping crime and fentanyl, and then it's going to break down the amendments. The Oceans Act, the Sex Offender Information Registration Act, the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. That's a big one. That one has a lot to it, unfortunately. Probably should have sped this up a little bit. Anyhow, it talks about asylum claims, people coming to Canada, how they're coming to Canada, ways that they can make applications to stay in Canada, and the limits on those. It also talks a lot about organized crime and illegal fentanyl, which obviously we know is a big issue. Because according to the Orange Blob, Canada is the biggest problem when it comes to fentanyl production. It talks about access to information and amending the Canada Post Corporation Act. It talks about a lot. But those are the summaries. I like to look at the actual bill. It's long. It's very long. And again, it gives a little bit of a summary of the things they're looking to amend or improve. It talks a lot about who has the authority. It refers to things like public interest. It talks about the who, when, and how they're going to gather information, with whom they're going to share information, situations where a warrant is needed. It talks about foreign nationals. Again, a lot of the purpose of the Sex Offender Registration Act. And so not all of it is bad. But it is so long that my worry is a lot of people are not going to read the whole thing to really understand what's happening. So let's hit some of the highlights, because these are some of the things that I've heard. Canada Post is going to be able to go through all your stuff. Not entirely true. They can kind of go through it now. You ever gotten a package that you know has been opened and retaped? Something you're getting from across the border? In my case, it's usually shoes. But depending how it's packed, it may look suspicious. That happens now. What they're saying is that they can just open letters. Now, I would think the letters that they're opening are ones that look like they have something in them. Not just a check from grandma. Does grandma still send checks? But if they're worried about the transmission of fentanyl, let's say, or what's used to make fentanyl, if you're sending something in an envelope that seems a little squishier than it should be, that may flag it. Oh my God, Canada Post is going to be important. Think of all the packages they're going to be pulling. Canada Post, you better get back to the table and start bargaining. But anyway, and I know a lot of people say, I don't have anything to worry about. I'm not shipping anything illicit. And that may very well be the case. But there's more. The government's going to be able to ask my internet provider to provide a bunch of information about me. Maybe, if you're suspicious, according to how the amendments work. And again, people are like, that's not going to affect me. I'm not looking up anything illicit. What's the definition? What is the definition? Remember when there was that worry about Canadians going to the States and that they were going to look through our stuff? And if we had things on social media that were anti-Orange Blob, there was a risk that they wouldn't let us in? Yeah, that. Better parameters around anti-money laundering? Awesome. Find out where money's coming in from, who's getting it, why they're getting it. That actually is a national security issue. It's a criminal issue. It's an issue that encompasses a lot of things. Money comes into this country all the time. Is it always on the up and up? Probably not. We need to make sure it's on the up and up. The one that I unequivocally have an issue with are the requirements with which to submit an application for asylum. We keep saying asylum. For the most part in Canada, it's a refugee claim. But these new amendments have put in timelines. So if you are crossing the border, you have 14 days with which to make an application. That seems reasonable. If you're coming from the States and you come into Canada, 14 days. There's a lot of criteria for a refugee claim. Basically, you can't come from a place that was deemed to be safe. You might be ineligible. Apparently, we still think the U.S. is safe. It's not. It's not safe for trans individuals. It's not safe for gay marriage. It's not safe for women seeking reproductive health. And so even if you have flown into the U.S. from somewhere else that is dangerous, and then you decide to cross the border into Canada, well, you would have already been in some place that was safe. And so your refugee claim may be denied. That's not new. It's the timeline. So from the minute you step your toe into the Great White North, that's when the timeline begins. Even if you dip your toe and go, oh shit, maybe I should go back, and you go back to the States, but then you come back, yeah, that timeline starts when you first got here. But my biggest issue, maybe not issue, maybe more concern, is let's pretend you came to Canada on a student visa, circa 2022. And you've been here, and you've been in school, but all of a sudden, your homeland is no longer a place you can return to. It is now unsafe. So again, let's pretend you're a Palestinian student. Came to Canada to study. Things were tickety-boo. Now not so much. But if you didn't make your claim within 1 year of when you landed in Canada on your student visa, even though your country was perfectly safe and you had full intentions of going back, you are no longer eligible, which means your claim would be denied and we're going to ship you back. Now, you can go through a pre-removal risk assessment. Again, there's a lot of steps in the whole immigration thing. But I mean, come on. We have obligations under the Geneva Convention. You don't move to send people back, forcing them to try and appeal that, when clearly it is unsafe for them to return. That's 100% one of the amendments I don't agree with. But bigger picture. It's the wording of some of these amendments that are problematic. In certain circumstances, in the public interest. Again, in certain circumstances. Now, I get why. How could you possibly put every single scenario in a bill? You can't. You're leaving it up to things like an act of parliament, governor and council, and certain things at minister's discretion. And herein lies my concern. If passed, this bill, as it is written, will dictate how Canada deals with all the things amended in the bill. If I trust the current sitting government, implicitly, without question, some of those things would make me go, it's not so bad. I'm sure they'll do the right thing. I'm sure they mean no harm. I'm sure they're really looking out for Canada's border, protection of all Canadians. But this bill, if passed, moves forward with the potential next government that would be sitting. And God forbid that is a conservative government that holds differences of opinions on things like immigration, who and what is safe, what would constitute a public interest. And can you imagine if this bill existed under Pierre Poilievre and what he viewed as public interest? Any woke person should have their mail looked at. Any woke person should have their internet provider provide everything to the government. Now, bear in mind, this is only in second reading. It still has to pass through Parliament and then go through the Senate. Things can be challenged. But that's why I have a concern with this bill. Even if I trust that this government is going to do everything that they should be doing, all on the up and up, I do not trust that the willy-nilly language in this bill isn't going to be misused now, and more importantly, in the future. That's my take on the bill. I understand everything included in there is considered a border issue, but I really think putting that much in a bill causes confusion, lack of clarity, concerns with application. And again, not all of it is bad. Some of it helps applications for immigration. Some of it doesn't. Some of it wants to make sure that people crossing the border are great people. Who gets to decide? The immigration minister can make decisions on just canceling applications. Sure. If someone's come to Canada and made an application that is less than truthful, and then we search their IP address and we see that they have a lot of odd searches, and tens of thousands of dollars is being sent to them on the daily through Canada Post, that's a lot of stuff. Sure, cancel it, send them back home. But my question always is, if this was a different government using this bill, would it look the same? Would the application look the same? It's that whole intent versus impact. I know it's their first bill. I know they have a lot of pressure coming from all sorts of angles. I know they're trying to appease people both within our borders and outside of our borders. But we just got to make sure that everything is clear. It's got a long way to go before it passes. If you have concerns, I would suggest you write your MPs. Considering the state of the world, I think we need to take a look at that whole immigration refugee application thing, because there's a lot of places that aren't safe. Anyway, those are my thoughts on C2. I encourage people to go read it. Go read it. Don't just look at the summary. Don't just look at people complaining about it or rejoicing in it. Go read it. Don't just go, it doesn't affect me, so why should I care? I don't have a problem with someone looking up what I looked up. I don't have a problem with somebody opening my packages, but I have an issue with the application of what that's going to look like if you have a government sitting that is less than open-minded. Could this bill seamlessly move from party to party to party with the exact same intent with which it's being created now? I don't know, man. In the wrong hands, the stuff that's in that bill is going to make us more like down south. And we all know how well that's going right now.